What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you a Tokyo Ghoul review slash analysis. So as you can see on the screen, this is going to be a little bit different from my normal Tokyo Ghoul videos. I'm actually decided to do something a little bit different, see how this actually turns out, see if you all like it, and if you do, this might be something I'm going to be doing on a weekly basis, but it really depends on the general reaction to this video once I am done and how it turns out. So anyways, to begin, today I'm going to be talking about chapter 139 of Tokyo Ghoul Re, the latest chapter that came out yesterday at the time of me currently recording this video, and I kind of want to just talk about the certain things that were going on in this chapter, like the symbolism, to the meaning behind certain panels, so forth, so on. So it's like my typical review I would do, but instead of just having me on screen, you will see the images from the chapter and stuff. So, like I said, I'm here to change things up a little bit. So anyways, to start off, I want to pull up the cover page of chapter 139 with Hirako, Arima, and Kuri on the cover, and I quickly went over it in my live reaction, but I kind of want to nail it in a little bit more with the beginning of this video. On the beginning of the cover page, it says, once they carried Zero atop their shoulders. Squad Zero, or you could also reference that as Arima. Yet, after losing their head, that has all come to naught. So basically, since Arima died, it's like the head of the snake fell off, and then the body withered. The body died. It was like the entire organization, not just, the Squad Zero, but the entire organization of CCG collapsed thanks to the head of the snake being cut off. And then also you can look at it as, since the head of the snake was cut off, the friendship that was between these individuals have now gone very sour. Hirako and Kuri are no longer like friends, you could say. They're on opposite sides, and with their backs turned against each other, it shows that they're no longer friends at all. That's kind of what this is trying to showcase here. Moving on to the next one, we have the quick summary of what has been going down. Now, this one is typically kind of stuff you can skip over, not really need to discuss at all, but it was thanks to the final part of the chapter that came out yesterday that made me really want to talk about this. Now, if you saw my live reaction, or if you've read the chapter, you might know what I'm talking about. At the end, it is revealed that with these status updates that Ishida loves giving all the time when it comes to, different parts of his, manga series, when, we're getting to a critical moment with, characters all around the place, he loves to give us status updates, telling us what the characters are doing, what decisions they're making, what, where all our important characters are in terms of the map. You get to see that with these pictures I'm showing here right on the screen. And we even get, updates of where the time frame is of what's going down. For instance, with the Furuta stuff that we've been, witnessing for the past couple chapters. Apparently, that was 6 hours ago, and all the stuff now we're currently seeing in, this chapter and all that is actually 6 hours after. So you kind of have, the reverse effect to the end of Part 1 Tokyo Ghoul. If you remember, at the end of Part 1 Tokyo Ghoul, there was the fight with Kaneki and Arima, and then you had Eto versus Arima and all of the stuff going on with her. And many didn't realize that at the time with Kaneki and Arima's fight, that was actually in the past. And then when Eto and all that was fighting with everybody else, that was actually after Kaneki lost to Arima. So that was the time frame at the end of Part 1. And so in this case, when you look at the arc we're currently having, since it's a parallel to the finale of Part 1, it's kind of it's the complete opposite. Instead of Eto being the future stuff, Kakujo Eto being the future stuff after the big fight, now it's the exact opposite. A fight like Eto was first 6 hours ago, while the big fight going on, that would be the equivalent to what Arima and Kaneki was, that is actually in the future. These two big scenes in Part 1 and now in Part 2 have been completely reversed, and so we now have a big gap between the two. We know that there's a big time difference, so there is a likely possibility with the status update of 6 hours, and since we now found out that these status updates have some form of personality behind them, that there is a very, very likely possibility that there is help coming towards Touka. Now, Ishida did nail it in and let us know that nobody knows what is going on underground. Kaneki is completely unaware, everybody is unaware in terms of GOAT's organization, they're all unaware of what's really going on down there in the underground with Touka and all of them. They don't know they're being attacked at all, and Ishida wanted to nail this in a couple of times. And you can look at this as, fourth wall breaking, or you can look at it as, like someone else just doing status updates. So basically this does show that there is some form of personality behind these status updates, because this is something we've never seen done before. Usually when Ishida gives us stuff like this, we don't have it to where someone is talking, like, and to repeat myself. It's like saying someone is telling you something, and they're like, okay, let me reinstate, like, what's going on here, and let me make sure you understand. So I feel like this is like Hide. I feel like it is. With the time gap, like 6 hours ago and all that, and then this, I feel like it's Hide. And the reason why I do think this is as well, we gotta remember that Hide was someone in Part 1 Tokyo Ghoul that clearly showed he had a very good and gifted mind. He was able to track ghouls, he tracked Jason, he was able to figure out what Kaneki was doing, he was able to pick up on Kaneki's lying habit. I mean, he had all these little things he paid attention to. He was very, very, very smart. And so, since he's been behind the scenes since the very beginning of Part 2. He's been Scarecrow, he's been, in every important arc, just doing little minor things that's helped everybody out in the grand scheme of things. What's to say that all these status updates might not be Hide just writing things down of what's going on, for he can actually, help out everybody. He's laying down strategies and all of that. So, with that being said, normally I would skip this and not really talk about this status update type stuff, but it's very important because Ishida went out of his way to give it a personality. So, only time will tell if it was just fourth wall breaking, if it was the editor just putting it down on the chapter, or if it was Hide. So, we'll see where it goes, but I just wanted to point that out. We move over into the Yomo versus Mutsuki fight. Now, at first glance, when you see this picture I'm showing you here right now, you see Yomo, he's taking a lot of blows from Mutsuki. Mutsuki's going all in, she's trying to cut him up like she can. We know Mutsuki's very skilled with her daggers or her knives. And Yomo, we have seen him fight some pretty tough opponents. I mean, we've seen this man go up against Arima. And, I mean, he held his own against Arima. It wasn't like he was going to win, and Arima was just straight broken. As we all know, Arima was someone that was undefeated to the very end. Kaneki never defeated him. The only reason why Arima died was because Kaneki didn't want to kill him, and so Arima decided to take his own life. He just didn't want to, kill Kaneki. And so, when you look at these different things right now, you know that Yomo has experience of fighting tough opponents, being in a tough situation. He even has experience fighting Uta, and we have seen very recently that Uta is not someone that you could just clearly underestimate. He loves to play around and not really try, and when he does try, it's very scary. I mean, look what he was doing to Mutsuki, Suzuya, so it just shows that the man is incredibly powerful. Yomo is a Ukaku Kagane user, and Mutsuki is a Bikaku Kagane user. Now, just an FYI, if you don't know what this means, a, Bikaku Kagane user, they have basically like a tail. They have a tail type shape form Kagane to where they have a lot of speed and durability, and they're able to basically beat the shit out of Rinkaku Kagane users. Now, Rinkaku Kagane users are people like Kaneki. Kaneki is a Rinkaku user, which might explain why he slightly got his ass beaten in that one fight, even though Mutsuki did cheat. Regardless, though, Bikaku, they have high speed and a lot of durability, and so they basically can really be a bruiser. They can get in and just start nailing you constantly and keep fighting over and over, really right into your face. While you have, Yomo, which is Ukaku user, he is strong against, Kagane users like Mutsuki. Mutsuki, she is someone, like I said, Bikaku, while Yomo is, Ukaku. Ukaku strong against Bikaku, so he technically has an advantage here. But here is the problem, though. Yomo is a very long-range fighter. What I'm getting at is that Ukaku is supposed to be from a long range. You have it to where they shoot out projectiles from their Kagane, very similar to how, Touka does or Ayato does. They have to be at a distance, and then they fire their Kagane kind of like bullets or projectiles. And so, if you look at, the fighting going on, Mutsuki's right in this man's face. He's not actually able to utilize his strength when it comes to his Kagane against a Bikaku type. Now, also, you got to take note that at the first start of this fight, you don't really actually see Kaganes going up against each other. You don't really see, Yomo using his Kagane right here, or Mutsuki. You just see, like, straight up knife fights while Yomo's trying to block and reflect all of the attacks. But eventually it does, actually go into a Kagane fight, because, Mutsuki, she reveals her Bikaku to attack Yomo. Well, once again, I want to point out, since she's so close, she's staying in the man's face, he can't use the strength against the Bikaku user and all that. He can't just fire at a distance and all that and shut him down. So this basically means that Yomo is at a disadvantage. But to make matters worse, you have someone like Aura that's coming in, and this man also has a Ukaku type, so he's able to fight at a distance. So when we look at both of these things, you have Mutsuki that's a close-range fighter. She's able to get real up close and all that, and just nail Yomo and make sure, like, he cannot fight at a distance. While if he does manage to get at a distance, you have someone like Aura that's coming in that's able to also fight at a distance, because we actually see him use a detachable Kagane in the chapter. He actually uses it, and he traps all the pipes before he can strike at Yomo. This does show that he was in the pipes for a while. At the beginning of the chapter, when, Mutsuki and Yomo, they were fighting each other, we now know what Aura was doing, and what took him so long to appear in the chapter, was that he was in the pipes just setting up a bunch of traps for when, he could bait Yomo into coming closer, Yomo would get struck and attacked. Thankfully, Yomo didn't take any serious blow and all that. He was able to recover and be fine. But the big point here is that Yomo is at a very, very big disadvantage, because he may be good at close range, he may be good at far range. I mean, he's made up for his obvious weaknesses, especially when it comes to his, Kagane type, because usually they have low stamina problem, and they have, problems when it comes to just fighting up close. But you can see Yomo, he's managed to slightly overcome this. He's able to, fight up close and not use his Kagane against someone that is obviously stronger against him. He's doing an okay job, but if this continues and all that, he might lose because of stamina issues if he is forced to use his Kagane quite a bit. So, besides that, we move over into Yomo's offensive play. He actually uses his lightning type Kagane, to basically make a circle, an area, to where nobody can get any closer. It's kind of like saying, you're not getting any closer to me, Mutsuki. Get the fuck away from me. I don't want you near me. And it's a smart move, because as I was saying, Mutsuki, she is weak against Yomo. However, Mutsuki was actually getting up close, so Yomo couldn't use this strength. Now, with him making a gap, putting the lightning up and all that, Mutsuki can't just charge in there willy-nilly and thinking that she's going to do a lot of damage to the man. And so he now has, like, this barrier to set some distance, and he really just needs to worry about Aura coming in and using projectiles or detachable Kagane to be able to fuck him up real bad. Which is what actually leads Mutsuki into slinging, the daggers all into Yomo, actually. It's because it was range, she could still use range against him, and at the same time, she can try to close the gap while he's distracted with the daggers being within him. So, besides that, let's talk about this one scene with emotion. So, Mutsuki straight up admits that Yomo is a very skilled ghoul. He is someone that, does not have any flaws. He's a ghoul without flaws. He's managed to make up for both things, both sides of combat, close and far range combat. And then Mutsuki eventually says, he's surely got more experience than me, but emotion. With emotion, I will surely surpass experience. And when I'm looking at this scene, I'm like, oh my god, this is straight up like a shonen character. When you read a shonen manga and you have a shonen character says, my emotions will give me a power up, I'm thinking fairy tale right now. I'm thinking Mutsuki is straight up getting a friendship power up, emotion power up. I'm like, oh my god, this shit is cringy. And I mean, when you see all these pictures in the background of Heise Sasaki, I'm like, this is extremely creepy, because you see all these different images. At first they look normal, it looks like normal love and stuff, but then as the images continue, you see it to where she starts daydreaming about being on a farm with him alone, and then you also see how she's actually staring at him and touching him while he is asleep. That is just creepy. It is really, 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 really creepy. So Mutsuki just going complete mental right here, just showing how twisted her love is. But just this entire scene reminded me a lot of how a shonen characters with emotion, I will surpass experience. I was having a good laugh at that when I actually did my live reaction. It just it reminds me of just a shonen character. So anyways, with that being said, we move over to the last segment of this fight. Basically, as soon as Mutsuki tries to close the gap and all that, because, slinging the daggers into Yomo, you can see that Mutsuki has no respect for Yomo at all in terms of this fight. For instance, Sensei, I've come for you, in quotations, which shows that she was thinking that entire image in her mind, and she's thinking what she wants to say. but she's not looking at Yomo, and she's not really caring about this fight at all. That just shows how she feels about Yomo, how irrelevant he is in the grand scheme of things to her. So it's pretty fucked up when you look at it like that. So that basically concludes the Yomo and, Mutsuki and Aura fight for now, until what we see happens in the next chapter. So now we move over into the Squad Zero versus Kuri and Ko fight going on in this chapter, and it opens up with a big-ass spear coming in, which looks really badass, by the way, in terms of design. You have it to where Hiriko, the spear's coming in, he barely dodges it. You see it actually grazes his cheek and all that, his left cheek, it goes in. He manages to slightly, get it away and reflect it if you look closely. But at the same time, no, it still leaves a mark on his face. He has blood dripping down and all that, which shows that this Kaneki is no joke. It is not something that you could just mess around with. It is not something that you think that you can just dodge like nothing. It's something that you need to be very wary of. Because as we know, Hiriko is not a weak investigator, a weak member of Squad Zero. He is a very, very strong individual. I mean, we've seen this man also fight Uta. Now, granted, Uta most likely wasn't really trying when he fought Hiriko, but Hiriko has shown, not just in that fight, but many other fights, that he is a very, very skilled individual. He's able to fight, have quick reactions, not really show much emotion, be able to keep everything in check. He's usually a really good fighter. So for Kuri to get that type of advantage on him and strike at him like that, it does show that this is a very dangerous situation. You should not underestimate Kuri. This could turn out very bad if you drop your guard. We also have Ko make his announcement. He's like, but I'm more than enough. Basically, he wants the entirety of Squad Zero for himself. He does not want Kuri intervening in this fight. He just wants to fight Squad Zero on his own, which is very, very foolish. It's a foolish move from Ko, and let me explain. Ko may be strong, he may be a part of the O-Guy, but he is clearly underestimating the OG investigators, which is Squad Zero, the very people that were working with Arma, that fought beside Arma, and as we know, Arma is a monster. And for this man to think he could stand up to Squad Zero by himself, he is very, very naive and foolish. He is making mistakes somewhat similar to Kaneki in ways. He thinks like, oh, he has the power now, so he can do anything he wants. He can beat anyone he wants. He thinks because he studied Kaneki that he can get away and just win and beat everyone up like it's nothing, but that is not the case. Kaneki achieved everything and got where he was right now, or where he's at now, thanks to all of his hard work and trial and error, constantly failing and getting him and picking himself back up again. The only reason why Kaneki is so powerful is not just because of his raw strength, but more what else he has gained on his journey. So Ko is just sadly mistaken if he thinks he can take on Hiriko and everyone else by himself. That is just a very dumb move on his part. And Kuri's like, don't be so proud. So Kuri's even admitting, don't be so proud. The Squad Zero is nothing to laugh at, says a former Zero Squad member, huh? So basically what the scene's trying to represent is that Kuri's like, look, I don't like them, but at the same time, you shouldn't probably drop your guard at all, because they're not something you should laugh at all. You can see just the dead eyes in Kuri's face. Like, this man is just straight up. Like, you can see this man has seen some shit, he's done some shit, he's insane now, and I mean, you know this man would do anything for Haru, as we know he was trying to bring her back. So basically, when you look at these things, it shows that this man is very broken, he's worn down, he's no longer the man we knew throughout the journey of Tokyo Ghoul Re. Now, in the same sense, when you look at how he's like, the Zero Squad is nothing to laugh at, it's kind of like he's poking fun at Hiriko and all of them that are deserters as well. It's kind of like he's looking at them and it's like, you guys made us a laughingstock. That's how you can interpret this, page as well. It's like, it's nothing to laugh at, but thanks to you guys leaving, you made Zero Squad look like a bunch of fools. That's a way you could take this, and what Kuri's trying to say when he looks at them. Normal circumstances, if you had, like, let's say a shonen series or whatever, usually these characters would have their own 1v1 situation. It would be like a one character versus another character, so forth. But this isn't a shonen, and this is also Tokyo Ghoul with Ishida's writing. So all of these characters of Squad Zero are working together to fight off against the opponents. And if you look at, the number of opponents, it's an even number. It's 4v4 right now, and they're all going at each other, and they're all attacking together, working together with their strategy. strategies, and you can see how Hirako is actually able to lead his squad. He's like, Shio, head on, you to the right and all that. Basically, he's giving orders to tell everybody what they need to do and who they need to attack and how to, go up against them, and then, they will probably rotate, switch, and continue to fight the next opponent. Which eventually you see Yusa, he charges in, he kind of gets pushed down by Kuri and all that, and Kuri basically mocks him all that, trying to teach him, like, hey, look, you shouldn't just try to close in on me like that, which... At the same time, yes, they're Squad Zero, but they also, some of them are making a mistake because they're not remembering that Kuri is a very competent investigator as well. You don't just rush this man. This man has also been through a lot. He has done a lot, so he's not someone that is a shitty fighter, too. So, it's not going to be an easy fight. I mean, already from what we've seen from Hirako, how he got, scratched on his cheek, it does show that Kuri is very skilled. So, it's not going to be something to where one person can just dive in and fight. So, Yusa paid a little bit of a price right there trying to rush in like that. And then you also have it to where Ko, he's trying to keep everybody in spot. He's trying to attack with his Kagane, keep everybody in place of Squad Zero. You can see that with this page, making sure that they can't really focus on the other opponents. Then, don't try to, slip in between Icicle's Thrust. It's a polearm, but the closer you get, the more dangerous it is. So basically, it is revealed that this polearm that Kuri is using is something that gets more and more dangerous the closer you get to it. And that usually is not the case. When you think of a polearm, if you kind of bridge the gap and all that, if you get closer to the user holding the polearm, you would think that it would be much easier to dodge or deal with because the tip of the spear is where you really have to worry about. But since this is something different, Icicle's Thrust are a lot different the way this Kaneki is used, it makes it to where it's just very deadly to get closer and closer to it, even up to the opponent. They need to be able to figure out how to bridge the gap between Kuri and Zero Squad. So, besides that, they shift rotations, my front and all that, and they start fighting, Ko again. They're trying to figure out how they can fight him, and you can see that Ko is actually able to, dodge pretty well. And you can look at his movements. It's very similar to how Kaneki fought in Part 1 and Part 2. And as we do know, he did study a lot of Kaneki's movements, so it makes a lot of sense why he would look a lot like Kaneki in terms of how his fighting style is. The way he dodges, the way he flips backwards, uses his Kagane and all that. You can just see the way he fights is identical to Kaneki, but that right there is also something that's probably going to come back to bite him. Because remember, Zero Squad, they have seen Kaneki, they've been with Kaneki, they know how he fights. So, because of that, there's bound to be an opening that they're going to find to be able to take him down. Shio gets kicked up in the air, and it looks pretty bad at first. And Shio even admits, probably think I can't dodge this. In normal circumstances, looking at the situation in midair, Kagane coming after you, you can't dodge this. It's, usually not possible to dodge in midair. You can't really maneuver yourself well at all. But then, Shio uses incredible experience to be able to actually get out of the way. So, at the risk of probably losing his own hand, Shio puts his knuckles down on the Kagane of Ko's, presses down, and flips around back behind to where Hirako is. So, Shio fucked up his knuckles. You can see the blood dripping and all that. It looks really bad. But at the same time, though, it would have been much worse if he wouldn't have tried to do that. He probably would have been impaled. He would have been dead. It would have been just over right then and there for Shio. So, this does show that, once again, Zero Squad, they have these really good movements. They know how to move, how to dodge and all that, especially situations that look like it's just impossible. When you see this scene where Shio dodges in midair, it shows that both sides are at an impasse. Nobody's going to go down with ease at all. So, then we move into the final segment. We move over into Touka Kirishima. So, as we know, with this final segment, it is revealed that this area that Touka is going into is E14. Now, I don't think it's too hard to remember that at the end of Part 1, there was a saying, no ghoul can pass V14. That was a saying at the end of Part 1, and that was basically saying that every ghoul that tried to get into V14 would get slaughtered and murdered, and that was like Arma standing in the passage and making sure nobody was to survive. And from our understanding when, Part 1 happened, we thought Irimi and Como died when they went into V14, thanks to Arma, because we saw a bunch of the bodies of their organizations all over the ground. We assumed they died. Now, this is E14. Now, yes, it's not V14, but this is E14, and this, once again, is a parallel to the end of Part 1. And it's not just the fact that the name is a parallel, or the fact that Suzuya is popping up to stand in front of Touka, it's also the scenery. V14 was underground, which is, where Kaneki and Arima fought. But also, we have the pillars. I want to show, real quick, if you look at real quick where Touka's running through E14, you see these pillars underground. And if you go to the original Part 1 Tokyo Ghoul, you see pillars underground as well where Kaneki is looking at Arima. So there's some similarities here with the way the pillars are, the way E14 was, introduced and all that. You can see that Ishida is very aware of what this scene means, and like just the parallels to the symbolic meaning. And so what we have going on here is basically set up for like a, Arima versus Kaneki fighter. In this case, it's Touka versus Suzuya. And Suzuya has been built up to be the next Reaper, the next Arima. He has been stated, Furta even said he would be the next one. And it's not just even Furta. We have seen many scenes to where many were thinking he was going to be the next one just because of how skilled he was as an investigator. So, him being in this type of scene makes complete sense. Ishida has been building this up since like the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul Re. It really has been building up that long. So, when you have this scene, you can look at it like this. Either you could view this scene with Touka wandering with everyone as Irimi in coma, basically about to get slaughtered, because Suzuya will not let any ghoul pass, or it's both scenes combined into one. And what I'm getting at is, all the ghouls behind Touka are going to get mercilessly slaughtered. But Touka, she is the equivalent to Kaneki in this situation. Now, we know what's at stake here when it comes to this. Touka, she is incredibly weakened. She has been consuming, human food. She does not have the capabilities of regenerating as fast as she once did. Because as we know, when ghouls, hurt their bodies and they're eating a lot of human food, their bodies are not going to be able to handle it. They're not going to be able to regenerate properly. It's basically turning them into like a regular human, and so it's just going to fuck them over completely. And the reason why Touka is doing this is because of her child within her. She doesn't want her child to die. And that shows right now there's a lot at stake here. It's not just, Touka's life on the line with Suzuya popping up, it's also her child's life. And so, in this case, Touka has a lot of things to protect, and anything could happen here. I mean, if it's, like, supposed to be the equivalent to Arima versus Kaneki, and Ishida loves to kind of do the opposite sometimes, make it a little bit of a twist or different, there is a very likely possibility this could be a permanent death for Touka. Touka could actually die, and this could be the end of her. That's exactly what this could be. And if that is the actual way this is going to go, there's either two ways. Either Touka is going to lose the child, the death of her child, and she's going to live, or she's going to sacrifice her life for her child to live. One or the other. Or both could possibly die. Now, there is some meaning here, too, if you look very closely. As we know with the wedding scene that, Touka and Kaneki had, we do know that with marriage, it's kind of like the two become one. That's basically what marriage kind of means. It's like the two individuals now become one individual, and they make up for each other's weaknesses and strengths and all that. And that's kind of what marriage is. And so in this case, it's kind of like saying that Touka is Kaneki, because she is carrying a piece of Kaneki within her, because she does have his child. But it's not just that, though. With the marriage as well, it's kind of like she is Kaneki. So there's just so much meaning here and setup for basically saying Touka is in the spot of Kaneki. And then when you also go back and think about Part 1, Tokyo Ghoul, first chapter, with Kaneki saying if he was ever in the lead role, and if he was to, be in a lead role, it would result in a tragedy. What's to say that since technically Touka is now Kaneki, what's to say she's not the lead role now, and she's going to end up in tragedy? Think about it like that. Ishida could have been implying that the entire time. Anyways, though, overall, the chapter is a very good chapter. I think it's quality, and yeah, I really like what's going on here. I just hope Touka doesn't die. But the way it's looking, there is a high possibility. I mean, Suzuya is not someone that I think is just a cruel individual anymore. He's definitely developed quite a bit. He's no longer like he once was. And I feel like whatever is going to happen in this upcoming scene is probably going to show what type of development Suzuya has gotten throughout all this time. I feel like if Hide really is coming, thanks to, the summaries and stuff, I feel like he's going to pop up, explain the situation, and it'll probably make it to where he will stop trying to fight Touka. So, we'll see where it goes, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.